everyone. Welcome to the Healthy Body, Happy Mind series. And today we have Henry Chamberlain, Executive Coach from Hong Kong with us. Welcome, Henry.
Thank you, Joe. It's great to be here.
It's kind of funny sitting here with Henry. We know each other for 1,004 years.
Yes,
actually,
just
10,
about.
10 and 4. But it feels like 1,000,000 years in this 10 years.
Yes,
Lots
absolutely.
of things have changed. Lots of things have changed.
A lot.
Yes, yeah. Personally, career-wise, almost
Geographically,
almost every aspect of our life has changed.
Yes.
And here we are, sitting in Henry's office.
Finally.
So, Henry, both of us are no longer as young as we used to be 14 years ago.
For sure, yes.
Actually, Henry and I are the same age, believe it or not.
I'm sure you can't tell.
And we have, been there, done that. We have done a lot of interesting things in our life. We have done amazing things in our career, and we have now get to our happiest place, I would say.
Yes, absolutely.
So both of us have been through our midlife crisis, I would say. For me, twice. The first time at 35,
All right.
I moved from a private consultant world into working for the government. The second time I moved from the UN into being a yoga and meditation teacher. Both times have been amazing. Personalized, it's just been amazing for me. It was tough at the time, it was been amazing at the end. So, in your role as an executive coach, working with really high-performing type A people who are striving for nothing but the best, based on your experience, what do you think of this midlife crisis, and what's the new definition of thriving?
Whoa,
thriving
okay.
at all age.
Okay, so let me start at midlife. Unfortunately, for most people, it is not a fulfilling time, and it is therefore a crisis for many people. The people that thrive, and I feel that I include myself in that, are the ones who has done the self-work. Maybe I should explain that.
Yes, please.
So when we get to midlife, it's a time of thinking about where have we been, what has our life been like, are we happy with who we are? And it's that time when people start asking, who am I? What's most important to me? Where am I going? And many times they say, I'm at a crossroads. I've lost my mojo. I'm not sure who I am and where I'm going. So to put that back into thriving and success, the people who are doing best during midlife are the ones who are self-aware, who has a mindfulness practice, who are aware of what's going on inside of themselves as well as outside. As a starting point, maybe just to kick that off.
This is good. Now, getting back to this, really, really thriving, because we don't want to be just surviving, right?
No,
surviving is bare minimum. If we are struggling, yes, let's get to that place. And then, but this is not a place we want to be. This is just coping. We want to move beyond coping with stress. We want to be coping with the demands of daily life. We want to be thriving, even over 50. So what would you say is really the new definition or the new acceptance or even expectation from people now to be thriving at our age?
So I think at any age, thriving starts for me with doing what you love and being able to do that or apply what you love and what you're good at towards something meaningful.
Yes.
Life itself is not necessarily meaningful in an objective sense, but it can be meaningful to us.
Yes.
And therefore the people who thrive know themselves well, they know what they're good at, they accept themselves, and they apply those skills towards something meaningful in the bigger scheme of things for them.
And actually, I think based on my experience, the more life experience you are, the more you're likely to know what you're good at and what you like to do. And then you can have a higher chance of finding where the overlap is. And that's where you thrive. Rather than in your 20s and 30s, you're searching, you're constantly grasping for different things because you're still looking. Yeah, very few of us have found our happy place at the early. Some lucky people have.
Yeah.
So, speaking of happy place, for me, the happy place is when I could apply my self-healing tools of yoga and meditation for body and mental health, and also have this clear understanding or clear perspective, I should say, of life from the non-duality Vedanta perspective. That is my happy place. That's when I felt like I had purpose in my life. That's when I felt like I'm doing good with my clients and with my friends and family. For you, what is your happy place that makes you get up every morning and say, yeah, I have a meaning in my life and I'm doing this for good and this keeps you going?
So there's quite a few. You can stop me.
Knowing you,
I've collected
Excel
a few
sheet.
things. I've got an Excel sheet full of things that make it meaningful.
Top list.
First of all, 5 years ago, I moved out of the city to a nearby island in Hong Kong, where I live in nature, where the wild buffalo walk outside of my house, and where I'm 30 minutes from downtown Hong Kong. So the change of lifestyle and waking up in nature, waking up with wild animals, it's an absolute game changer. So healthy environment, conducive environment, unbeatable. It's
nature, access to nature for sure.
Access to nature, so I have a kayak on the beach, I have a mountain bike, and I've got hiking trails all around me, and that I think that brings immense meaning to life, and it makes it really, really good.
And would you say that's also part of your simple life, rather than living in Castle Bay in the midst of all the shopping and bling, bling, bling? You're living in a quiet place, less background noise, more access to you. Yeah.
So for some people, shopping is really meaningful and it gives meaning to life, and I'm not averse to that. I do like shopping, but making the lifestyle change to be where I predominantly can feed my soul, I think that was the biggest thing contributing towards happiness and meaningfulness at this stage in my life.
That's good. What are the other?
The second thing is that I'm fortunate to own my own business and to do work, to be an executive coach and a psychologist, and to do deeply meaningful work with leaders and organizations and helping them thrive. So it took a long time for me to find out what I really, 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 really want and what I'm really, really good at. And those things combining and culminating to find who I am, how I want to be, and where I make my biggest impact is probably even more important than where I live, because you spend 8 to 12 hours a day at work.
And spend a lot of time thinking about it.
Spend a lot of time about thinking about that and how to do it differently and things like that. So those two are definitely in the top two practices and hacks and tools that I bring along to make life more meaningful.
Okay, just give you a special pass. You get to share one more, just one more.
5 years ago, a lot of things happened 5 years ago. So 5 years ago, I decided to quit alcohol. And although I was never a full-blown alcoholic, I was always
functional. Love your wine. You love your wine.
I love bubbly, I love beer, and I love really good whiskey. But I woke up one morning and I just felt enough. And I cannot tell you the difference that makes in terms of quality of life, in terms of mental clarity, and in terms of the ability to just be present for myself and for other people around me.
Well, I still drink once in a while, but I would say now I have this 30-something years bottle of scotch that have this much been consumed for the last 6-7 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still there. And when you come and visit me in Thailand, we can indulge a little bit. But, it's there for whatever reason, but definitely not for the daily consumption. But what you just said remind me of something that I practice is this silent, right? Silencing the mind, not just silencing the lips, not just silencing what I'm hearing, but silencing the mind. And I heard this a really interesting fact. Like in an atom, there's a positive and negative.
Yes.
And then between the positive and negative, there's space. And do you know what is the percentage that's space in an atom?
It's huge.
99.999999999%. That much space is empty.
Right.
And for us to get to know ourselves in the yoga perspective, it's all about getting comfortable in the vibration in that space. So, I think everything that you do, minimizing the distraction of the mind from what you drink, minimizing the distraction from the physical environment, depends on where you live, all help you to be more in tune and produce less noise to that inner space.
Absolutely.
Quietness.
Yes.
Yeah, and the fact that you have a lot of freedom
Yes.
in what you choose to do, that makes a big difference.
Yes, that does.
Yeah, so that's
And as a matter of fact, one of the most powerful things that I do is to have, for the last 7 years, not 5, I have done a quiet and a silent retreat.
yes,
So
and you
creating
just
some
came
silence
from
for
one,
myself.
right?
Yeah.
Silent is like, I think I read it in a couple of Buddha's publications recently. They are all into the future language is silence.
I
Because
can
it's
vouch
such
for
an
that.
amazing
Absolutely.
way to communicate with yourself and communicate with people that you connect with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And combining that with nature, so I have a fairly secret waterfall spot where not many people walk to. So sitting there for 2 days by myself, encountering nobody else, being in silence and being meditative is absolutely the best. I do it over Christmas time, so it's the best Christmas gift that I can give myself every year.
You know, I'm going to be in Hong Kong for a few more days. If you happen to want to take me to your secret place,
Absolutely.
Waterfall,
I'm happy to share that.
I could make a trip to your island. Huh?
I'm happy to share that.
For those of you who don't know, Hong Kong have a special island. On this special island have a special corridor that no cars. Only wild buffalo and human can walk around.
And bicycles.
And bicycles. And Harry is lucky, one of those lucky people that actually have a place in their little precinct.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, very nice, very nice. So now we're coming to the last part of
Yes.
our interview. The purpose of doing this interview is really to help our audience to take some tips away so they can practice. Not everyone can just move like that. Not everyone are lucky enough to to have the freedom to choose what they want to do. We all have a lot of physical constraints in our life. Some constraints are external, some constraints are in our mind.
Yes.
So, based on your experience, what would you say are the hacks, mental hacks, that we help ourselves to break out of our own constraint, limiting thoughts that we put on ourselves, so we could have more access to this silent, happy place?
99.99999% is internal. Most of the obstacles that I encounter
Yes.
in myself and helping my clients with that is we create most of our own obstacles, most of our constraints. So
Yes.
knowing that is probably the best starting point.
Yes, number
So,
one, knowing that,
Accepting
that.
embracing that, and then working with that going forward. It's not your crazy boss, it's not your company culture, it's not your wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend. It's probably something inside of you that makes you unhappy, and they are just triggers and they are just teachers to teach you about yourself.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
So as a starting point, daily mindfulness meditation. I've had highs and lows, but the best times of my life is when I take as little as 5 minutes to just become quiet, turn inwards, become aware of my thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and that's better than anything else as a daily mental hack, or as a not even mindfulness, as a spiritual hack, I think, to guide my whole life.
I would say, like a friend of mine from Singapore, she said, like, you know, people in Singapore are kind of like Hong Kong. Time is money. Everything is like, it's like, I don't have 15 minutes to meditate. I'm so busy. But she put it in this way to her students. She's also a yoga teacher. Say, this is the best 15 minutes in your day in terms of the return in investment.
Yes.
That 15 minutes that you invest in yourself and your mental clarity is going to pay off 1,000-fold during the day.
Yes.
Because we make decisions all day long. How you communicate with your partner, how you communicate with your colleagues, how you communicate with your kid, is all from your mind. If you are coming from a negative, fear, lacking base, that is going to come true.
Yes.
Or versus you coming from a loving, everything is good, we can do better, loving place, that will come true as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
A famous teacher said that if you have a normal day, you should meditate for 20 minutes, and if you have a really, really busy day and you have no time, you should meditate for 40 minutes. I truly
That's
believe
when
that
you need it.
It makes the day longer, it makes the time more powerful, it makes you more present. So yeah, absolutely.
But of course, meditation, yoga, yoga meditation together is not fast track to cure any problem. It's sort of like it's sort of like a daily routine, like brushing your teeth.
It's a gateway drug to happiness.
That's Henry's words, not mine. It's like brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
You do it every day, then become a habit. And then the day that you don't brush it, you be like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And then you will be motivated because you know how good you feel after you do it. Okay, so daily meditation. So happy to hear that. What's your second good hack for everyone to
Life
to
is
share?
complicated.
Mm-hmm.
The world is complicated. You should not have to carry all of this alone.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a therapist and I have a coach, and I use them well. I use them frequently.
Okay.
So not being able to solve, not having the responsibility to fix all your own problems. Self-help books can drive you crazy. So having a really transformative coach and a really transformative therapist, counselor is one of the best gifts that you can give yourself. And organizations these days provide mental health care to their staff. It is much more affordable and much more accessible as most people think.
Yep, that's true. For those of you who don't know, my first coach, personal coach, is sitting next to me.
You're going to admit it. All right.
14 years ago, I was going through some crisis to work, and Henry was generous enough to, through my sister's connection, offered it through, was it through Skype back then?
Yes.
There
And
was-
you got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It must have been really good.
Well, I'm usually get up at that time, but yeah, that was very helpful. And even now, as a yoga teacher, I have a group or cohort that I check in regularly
Yeah.
to make sure I'm on the right track. If I'm off or I felt like not quite there, I have a key group of people that I work
Right.
with for its pure support, and I go to my teacher regularly to keep working on myself. Yes, you're never alone, and the more you are in touch with yourself and what you need and who you really are, I find the more you attract people, like-minded people, to be wanting the same thing. They're like, oh my God, we have the same group, we need the same thing, and you're more likely to find your peer,
Yes.
to find your support
Yes.
system. Yeah, so it's really important to know who you are, otherwise you'll be attracting the wrong crowd.
That is absolutely true.
Yeah. Okay. Henry, just for you.
Do I get
I
one
know
more?
your long list. My God, one more. Absolutely last one.
So you've already said it. So
Ah.
investing in friendships
Yes.
and investing in my personal relationship
Mm.
has been very, very meaningful and a really important part of my life.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to realize the importance of the investment in the relationship, and that it's not just going to happen by itself, and no matter how good I am and try to be, it is a mutual process and it's mutual give and take. So that is also confirmed by that long-time Harvard study that says that the number one thing that makes life meaningful for people is meaningful relationships. It's not money, it's not humor, it's not holidays, and it's none of these things, but it's actually having meaningful and fulfilling relationships. So build on that and make sure that you
Yes.
have good friends, supportive
Yes.
friends,
Yes.
and a powerful, whatever the nature of your intimate relationship is, invest time on that, especially in midlife, when we go through biological changes and we go through psychological changes.
Yes.
That's really important, and when that partner can support you through this whole process.
And through like the yoga lens, this relationship, like, and my teacher is Swami, by the way, but somehow, they all have full lives, and most of the students are householders. He had always say, doesn't matter how good you are at the ashram doing your meditation, spend a week with your family, you know where you are at in terms of your practice.
Yeah.
And then you think you have mastered, that your triggers by your family, spend time in an intimate relationship. That you cannot hide. You cannot hide all your craziness. You cannot hide all your insecurity. You cannot hide who you don't want to be. And that's really the best place, a best platform and mirror for you to grow.
An absolute mirror.
Absolutely. And I totally agree that any intimate relationship or friendship or family, those are really good places for us to work on ourselves.
Yes.
To is they not work on the relationship, but use this as a platform to work on ourselves to be a better self.
Yes.
Yeah, so we could be there for the other person, and I think is a mutual win-win
Absolutely.
situation.
It's a win-win. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Thank you, Henry. Anything else?
I got 3. Thank you for giving me so many options from my long list of hacks and hacks.
Henry and I get along really well because both of us are geeks. Both of us have a long list of Excel sheet with PowerPoints with everything. So Henry, anything else you would like to share? I'm knowing you and your master list of goodies.
No, I'm really thankful for the work that you're doing and bringing body-mind together. So that's been something that we've implied here, but haven't said specifically. So I think body-mind, you can't just have a healthy body or just a healthy mind.
One day I'm going to get Henry to touch his toes. One day.
I have done it very long time ago. So I think this holistic lifestyle and looking at mind, body, and spirit together is really important as a way to find lasting success and authentic success.
Yes.
That's really important.
Authentic to you, meaningful to you, not just on paper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. And we will put Henry's contact information down below under the WhatsApp link, and also a link to our healthy tips on daily life. Good. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.